So we have to now derive the equation v square is equal to u square plus 2as. So how do we do that? So we write the expression a is equal to v dv by dx. So how did we come about this expression, if somebody remembers? So first of all, we just wrote this one. So if anybody is interested that how did we come about this, so we wrote a is equal to dv by dt. What one thing we can do is that we multiply and divide the equation by dx by dx, and we swap dt and dx over here, and we get dv by dx over here. This dx goes here and this dt comes here into dx by dt. Now we know that dx by dt is some velocity, so this becomes velocity into the remaining part dv by dx. So this is how we come about this expression. Now how do we use this? So we'll be using the same process which we did for a is equal to dv by dt, and we went about integrating it. So here the term in the denominator is dx, so we would take the denominator term and multiply it with the numerator in the LHS left hand side. So this is a dx is equal to v dv, and then we integrate. So we put the expression of integration on both the sides of the equation, and then we proceed further. Now again there are two possibilities whether acceleration is a constant or not. So if acceleration is constant, then it simply comes outside, which is the case for us in this particular idea. So we take acceleration outside, integration of dx. Now the integration expression goes from some value 0 to x, that is the position of the particle goes from 0 to x, and the integration of the particle goes from some initial velocity to some final velocity v dv. So this becomes acceleration a. Integration of something like dx is simply x, which we have been looking quite common. If there is integration of dv, it becomes v. Integration of dt, it becomes t. So integration of single alone expression dx becomes x only, and this is 0 upper limit and lower limit. Integration of x dx was x square by 2. In the same way, integration of v dv should be v square by 2, and the initial expression in the lower limit u and the upper limit v. So again doing the same exercise again, just to strengthen our concept of definite integration actually. So a, acceleration remains as it is. We assume that acceleration is a constant. We put the final limit x minus the lower limit 0. Then again we put the final limit v square minus the lower limit u square upon 2. This implies 2ax is equal to some v square minus u square, or this implies v square is equal to u square plus 2ax. So the idea is always same. We put the final velocity first. We put the final velocity v square minus the initial velocity u square divided by the time divided by 2, and this gave us the expression. So now moving on, we have to derive another expression. So what we do is that we use this integral v dt is equal to integral dx. So this came from v equal to dx by dt. Now here the velocity v is final velocity, so we put the final velocity v, this is u plus at, the u plus at, and we have to integrate this. So let's come back again and do this integration again to strengthen our concept that how do we integrate. So we started from v is equal to dx by dt. So v dt is equal to dx. This is what we have been doing in the previous expressions also, so we would be repeating this here. And now we put integral sign on both the sides as this is an equation. Now the expression for velocity or the equation for velocity is u plus at. So we put u plus at instead of v. One explanation why we substituted v with u plus at is because that since velocity is a variable, so we cannot take v outside. So since velocity is a variable, we substitute the velocity with something which contains t and which can be integrated. Now this is u. U is initial velocity and that would be fixed. At the time at which we are starting the motion, we would know the particle's velocity, and that would be some particular constant. So that would be u, acceleration would be a, time would be t. The integration, the element is dt, and integral dx. Now here the limits can be put 0 to x dx. Now we can also put limits over here also, integral 0 to or initial time, yeah, so time goes from 0 to t. So now let us integrate this expression one by one. So like in differentiation, what we did was that we took both the expressions separately and then differentiated. So here also we would be taking both the expressions separately. We separated u and at, so this becomes u into dt and the limit 0 to t plus integral at dt and limits 0 to t and then integration 0 to x dx. Now we have to integrate u dt. So how we do that? The integration of dt becomes t and the limits becomes 0 to t plus a comes outside, and this is integral t dt. So the acceleration a is a constant, it came outside, and this integration of dx, we know this becomes x, lower limit 0, upper limit x. Putting the upper limit first, t minus the lower limit, again integration of t dt. This would be same as integration of x dx, which was x square by 2, so this would be t square upon 2. The position of the particle goes from 0 to x, so this becomes x minus 0, this is x. This is assuming that the particle started from origin. It is possible that particle may not have started from the origin, and we would take that case also. So this becomes ut plus half at square is equal to the x, which is called the displacement. So let us draw a line here. So this is the expression ut plus half at square is equal to displacement. Now let us look at the terms of this expression. So the terms are u, the u is the initial velocity, t is the time after which the motion has started, plus half, a is the acceleration, t is the time after which we are judging the motion after the start of the motion, and x is displacement. So x is displacement. So this is our derivation for the equation for motion. Now the point of derivation was, as we stated earlier, to reinforce the idea of definite integration. That how do we do definite integration, and the objective of these equations would be used in calculating various ideas. So the derivation as is not important when acceleration is uniform, that is written here. When the acceleration itself is uniform, we won't be deriving this again and again. That we did just for learning definite integration, but the expressions would be used in uniformly accelerated motion. Again, let us look at this expression. So this is some xf, which is written as final position minus some initial position, is equal to ut plus half at t square. So this is what we are trying to obtain. Now let us jump to some questions. So question number 1, a particle moves with an acceleration of 10 meter per second square. Its velocity is 2 meter per second. Find the final velocity after 4 seconds and find the displacement of the particle after 4 seconds. So this is the objective of expression. Objective or question, what we want to do. We want to find the final velocity and we want to find the displacement of the particle. So just let us remember what was the acceleration here. Acceleration was 10. So the acceleration is 10. Particle moving with an acceleration of 10. Its velocity is 2 meter per second. Initial velocity is 2 meter per second. Final velocity after 4 seconds. So here, what expression would you use? You would use an expression in which we know time, initial velocity and acceleration. You have only one expression to find velocity using these three terms, which is u plus at. So we plug in all the terms which we have all over us. Initial velocity 2, acceleration 10, time 4. So that becomes some 42 meters per second. Just substituting values and calculating, we got the final velocity. In the same way, we are asked what is the displacement of the particle after 4 seconds. So x is equal to ut plus half at square. So the initial velocity is u. We put the initial velocity as 2, time 4 seconds, half of acceleration 10 into 4 square. So this expression would give us the displacement of the particle. So the displacement x is ut plus half at square. That would be initial velocity 2, time 4, half, acceleration 10 and time squared. That would be 8 plus 80. So that would be equal to some 88 meters. That is the displacement. A car accelerated from 0 meter per second to 10 meter per second in 5 seconds. Find the acceleration of the car, assuming it was uniform, and find the displacement of the car. So as you can see, the previous question was not as interesting. We just put the equations and we substituted the values. There was hardly any part of physics in it. Now where the idea comes into place, that when we have to decide which equation you have to use. So we just, not without much thinking, use the equation v equal to u plus at. But as you would find in questions, further questions, these are only 3 and 4 questions which you would be doing here. But when you would be practicing, you would be finding a lot of questions which would be requiring to use multiple equations. And that is where the difference comes, that you have to decide which equation you use subconsciously. So it would always come about the idea that how much experience you had, or better way to say is that which technique you use to solve an equation. So as I said in the question number 1, when you are available, when you have expressions available as the acceleration, initial velocity and time, then you favor the equation v equal to u plus at. Now in this equation we are having with us the initial velocity, the final velocity and the time. So what equation would we be favoring here? So let us see. Again we are just required to find the acceleration of the car. So the definition of acceleration is dv by dt, right? But it is given that the acceleration is uniform. So that means we can use the expression, some other expression also. Now here comes some theoretical idea which would help you here. So if the acceleration of a particle, that means the instantaneous acceleration is constant, is average acceleration equal to the instantaneous acceleration. So what I said is that if you have a particle moving and it is having constant acceleration, where its average acceleration and instantaneous acceleration would be same. This would be same as asking that okay, if a particle is moving with constant velocity, then would its average velocity be same as its instantaneous velocity? The answer would be obvious yes. So what should be different here? Nothing should be changing. If the acceleration is constant everywhere, then the average acceleration and instantaneous acceleration must be same. If you remember the expression for average acceleration, it was average acceleration is defined as final velocity minus initial velocity upon time, which is same as this, v equal to u plus at. That means it is made for the conditions when average acceleration and instantaneous acceleration are same, which is the case for uniform acceleration. So we know that the final velocity of the car was some 10 meter per second and the initial velocity was some 0. So the time difference is some 5 seconds. So 10 upon 5 would be some 2 meter per second square. That would be the acceleration of the particle in question number 2. Next we are asked to find what is the displacement of the car. So let us find acceleration was some 2. The displacement x is equal to initial velocity. So the car started with 0 velocity, 0 into time it took, so it took 5 seconds, plus initial velocity plus half acceleration, which we just calculated 2 into time, which is 5 squared. So that would be some 25 meters. So that is the displacement of the car for us. Now let us jump on to the next question. A particle starts from x equal to 5 meter with a uniform acceleration of 2 meter per second square. The initial velocity of the particle is minus 20 meter per second. That means this is the case which we are talking about in the example. So we said that the particle is moving some negative x direction, and when it is going in negative x direction, it has some positive acceleration. So the particle would first slow down and then stop, and then it would start moving probably in positive direction. So what would happen in that case? How do we analyze that? So what we do is that we are asked to find the velocity of the particle. So let us write what is given. So we are given the initial position of the particle. Let us write x naught, that is 5 meters. Now we have never used an initial position before this, so it is important that with what term which we would we use to denote it. So we have denoted it with x naught. This is read as x naught, and x naught is some 5 meter. This is given in the question. Usually this is 0, but it's not 0 here. In the initial position it is some non-zero value. So how do we deal with it? So we just first put some information which we are not certain. We will just write it and then move on. So uniform acceleration is some 2 meter per second square. This much we know. The initial velocity is some minus 20 meter per second. It's a minus 20 meter per second. Now we are to first idea, we have to find the velocity of the particle. So by doing this question itself, we will be analyzing what happened. So first part is find the velocity at 10 seconds after 10 seconds. So we would using the expression u plus at to find the final velocity. Initial velocity is minus 20 meters per second. Acceleration is 2 meter per second squared, and the time is 10 seconds. As you can see, 2 into 10 would cancel this out, so this would come out to be 0. So the final velocity of the particle is going to be 0. That means it is the time when the particle, after the particle started moving in negative direction, it stopped moving at some instant. So it would stop moving at 10 seconds. This was what we found in the first part. Perhaps this is the way we should analyze this questions, such questions, that we should look for the points at which the particle is stopping. That is the point at which its instantaneous velocity becomes 0. So after, for example, in some expression gives, if some equation gives us that the velocity of the final velocity of the particle becomes 0, so that means that at that instant the particle is stopping, and that is what we coincidentally arrived here, that at 10 seconds the particle absolutely stopped moving. So that is the time at which its velocity is 0. So moving on, we have to find the position of the particle at 20 seconds. So x is equal to some ut plus half at square. So the position of the particle, displacement of the particle is some ut plus half at square. Now as you can see, when we wrote this expression, you would be remembering that I specifically mentioned that origin is at 0, but here that we are starting from 0, but now we are not starting here from 0, so we should use a better expression here. So what should we be using here is that final position of the particle minus the initial position of the particle, displacement, is equal to ut plus half at square. So the final position minus the initial position 5 is equal to initial velocity minus 20 into time, that is also given as 20. Time for the second part is 20 seconds, plus half acceleration, which is 2 into 20 squared. So this would come out to be 0 after calculation. So x minus 5 would be 0. As you can see, 2 and 2 cancel. This is 20 squared, this is also 20 squared, so everything cancel out. So x is equal to 5 meters. So that means the particle's position has not changed at all after 20 seconds. So what actually happened is that, let's say you have some numbered line, this was origin, this is x equal to 5. The particle must have crossed origin at some time. It would have turned and it came back to x equal to 5 at t equal to 20 seconds. When it turned, the time was t equal to 10 seconds. So this is the big idea which we learned, that particle is moving in some certain direction, it slowed down, it stopped, its velocity became 0, and after some time it came back to the point where it started from. So probably this is kind of symmetric also. If you look from this point, the particle started at t equal to 0 from this point, so it it took 10 seconds to go from this point to this point, and then when coming back from this point to this point, it again took 10 seconds. So that is a good nice idea. Now let us move on to the third part of the question, which asks us to find the average speed between 0 second and 20 second. So how to find the average speed between 0 second and 20 second? So as you can see from our visualization that the particle must have reached some point, and the distance it would covered from reaching or from going from origin to this point would be just doubled when it would have traveled back. That means, let's say if this distance is s, this complete distance is s, then it would have traveled s again in the next 10 seconds. So it would have traveled 2s distance in 20 seconds. So we have to look for s. So what is the position of the particle at 10 seconds? That is what we have to find. So the position of the particle at t equal to 10 seconds, that is what we want to find. So this would be equal to x naught since we write in this way, x minus x naught is equal to ut initial velocity is minus 20, time is 10, plus half acceleration, that is 2 into 10 squared. So this comes out to be some minus 100 meters. So this is x minus x naught. So this is the displacement of the particle, x minus x naught. This is minus 100. If you put value of x naught over here, you would get that this position is a minus 95. So what is the distance which the particle has moved through? So the particle has moved through this distance, through the distance 100 meter. Now what we said that we have to cover 100 meter again, so the total distance we have covered is 100 times 2, and the total time which we have taken is some 20 seconds. So this would give us the average speed as 10 meters per second. So this is the average speed, 10 meter per second. So the initial velocity, the final velocity at 10 seconds is 0. The position of the particle at 20 seconds is 5, and the average speed is some 10 meter per second. Now let us move on to the next question. A car starts from rest, it accelerates through distance s at a rate f, then continues at a constant speed for the time t, and then deaccelerates at the rate f by 2 to come to rest. If the total distance traversed is 5s, then s is equal to whatever values we are looking for. So if a car starts from rest, it has traveled through s distance. First of all, let us remove the earlier board, clear this board. Now the idea is that a car starts from rest, accelerates through some distance s at a rate f. Now let us say that the particle has taken some t1 time to do this. Particle travels a distance s at a rate f. Let us say it has taken time t1 in this part of the motion. It took t1 time in this part of the motion. Next, it travels with a constant speed, that means acceleration is 0. So and it took t time. Then the continues at a constant speed for time t, and then deaccelerates at the rate f by 2, and then it deaccelerates at the rate f by 2. That means the acceleration is minus f by 2, and it would take some time. So we would ask to, if we go back to the question, we would be able to get some expressions or some equations. The idea is that we want to analyze what the question is. So let me explain what the question is for you. The question says that a car a particle first accelerated to some speed, then it travels with a constant speed for t time, and then it slows down at a rate which is half of the rate at which it gained speed. So we are given some conditions that the total distance covered is some 5s. So what are the equations which would be right over here? Which equation would be correct? So we assumed already that the time taken in first part of motion is t1, which is not given to us. So we know the equation v equal to u plus at, right? Final velocity is equal to u plus at. So we wrote this equation, and observe what we did with the whole question. We divided the whole question into three parts: the accelerating part, the constant speed part, and the deaccelerating part. So each question becomes a segment in itself, each part becomes a segment in itself, and we can apply an equation in that part. So the equation of one part and its variables don't intermingle with the equation or segment of the other part. So now we apply v equal to u plus at for this equation. We can easily see that okay, the final velocity is to be required for this particular segment when the particle would reach its speed, constant speed. So the initial speed of the particle is 0, the accelerator of the particle is f, and the time is taken is t1. We do not know what is the final velocity, but what we do know that the particle has covered some displacement s, the initial velocity is 0, so that would be 0 into t, that would be 0, plus half acceleration, which is f, into t1 and squared. So one more expression which we can come about is v square is equal to u square plus 2s, but I think these two expressions are sufficient for us, that v is equal to ft1 and the displacement is equal to half of ft1 squared, right? So can we write v in terms of s and f? Would that be possible? Can we eliminate t1 over here? So let us try that. So t1 is equal to some v by f, and when we substitute that over here, okay, we would be getting the expression v square is equal to 2fs. This expression is what we would be getting. The final velocity is ft1 here, so that would be the constant speed with which the particle would travel. That means the particle is accelerating. Now the particle has reached the speed, and the particle is having no acceleration in the second part. So the particle would be traveling with this speed for t time, and what distance would it be covering? It would be covering a distance of ft1 into t. This much distance would the particle be covering. Can we eliminate t1 over here in terms of known? So we'll try that. Now in the last part, the acceleration is minus f by 2. We are given the speed ft1, and we are asked in what time would be able to stop the motion. The particle will stop moving eventually. So final velocity is 0, initial velocity ft1 plus acceleration minus f by 2, v equal to u, this is complete initial velocity, plus acceleration into time. Let's say this is t2. So t2 would come out to be 2t1. So this would be kind of easy to think about when you have some practice. That means that a particle reaches speed with an acceleration f when it took t1 time. So when the particle has to come back to rest and its rate of change of speed has halved, then it would take twice much as time to take that speed. Not only that, from this we can judge that how much distance would have the particle traveled. If we would calculate the distance, here the particle has traveled some s distance. Now the particle is taking twice as much time, so it would take some 2s distance. That means we can say that the particle would travel a distance 2s in this particular case. So that is pretty incredible how we came about this. The particle traveled some s distance and particle traveled some 2s distance in this particular case. So again, this is all about calculation, how we come about calculation. Let's say the displacement computed in this part is some s2. So we would say that uh, u initial velocity is some ft1 into time taken to complete the whole motion 2t1 minus f by 2 acceleration into 2t1 squared. So when we calculate this whole value, this value should come out to be ft1 squared, which is easy to see. So this is twice of this value, s2 is twice of this, so this is 2s. Now let us come back to the question. The question says that the total distance covered is 5s. So from 5s part we covered s distance here and 2s distance here in this part. So how much distance would be covering over here? Here would be covering the remaining 2s distance. So can we eliminate t1? So that is what we want. We want an equation in which t1 is not present. So how do you do that? So eliminate t1 would be easy actually. We know that the s is equal to half ft1 square and ft1t is equal to 2s. So we can find the value of t1 over here. t1 is equal to 2s upon f into t, and we put the value of t1 in any of the expressions which you like. Let's say this, put in this one only. The s is equal to half f and this whole t1 squared, so that would be 4s squared upon 4f squared into t squared. On solving this we get that half of f t square is equal to s. So that means B part would be correct. Let us do another question. A car starts moving rectilinearly first with an acceleration 5 meter per second square, and then uniformly finally deaccelerates at the same rate and comes to rest. The total time of motion is 25 seconds. The car moved a total of 500 meter. How long does the car move uniformly? So this question says that again the idea is same as we did in the previous question, except that in the previous question we divided the question in 3 parts, and then we tried to use information of different parts to obtain our final result, which is to eliminate t1, which is not in the final equation. So we did that by using t1 from this expression, from the first expression, and you're putting it in the second expression, and then it gave us this one, half ft square is equal to s. So you would get this by calculation. Now for the second idea, a car starts moving rectilinearly first with an acceleration of this, then uniformly, and finally deaccelerates at the same rate and comes to rest. The total time motion is 25 seconds and the car moves to a total distance of 500 meters. Then how long does the car move uniformly? Again we'll be trying to look towards the same idea, dividing the motion in 3 parts. So the car accelerated at a rate of 5 meter per second square. Acceleration is given as 5. it moved a total distance of 500 meters. That is the complete distance is covered. It took a total time of 25 seconds. The deceleration over here would be -5, and we have to find how long does the car move uniformly. That is our objective. Let's say the car moved uniformly for some t time. Let's say the time taken by the particle to reach the maximum velocity is t1. So this time would also be t1. This we know by previous question, from the previous question. If the rate of deceleration and rate of deceleration was half of the rate of acceleration, then it took twice much as time to stop from the highest velocity. Now here the rate of acceleration and deceleration are same, so it would take you the same time to accelerate from 0 to maximum velocity to go from maximum velocity to 0 velocity. So the displacement over here would be some half a t1 square. The displacement over here would be some a t1t. The displacement over here would be again half a t1 square, and what we are given is that the total time is 25 seconds. That means it is given to us that 2t1 plus t is 25. So this implies that t1 is 25 minus t upon 2, and we substitute the value of t1 in the respective equation to get the net displacement. So what would be the net displacement? Net displacement would be 500 meters, right? So the expression for net displacement is 500 meters is equal to half a t1 square plus half a t1 square. So half a t1 square plus half a t1 square is a t1 square. So that would be a into 25 minus t by 2 squared plus a t into 25 minus t upon 2. So this would come out to be some now we put the value of acceleration over here. The acceleration is 5, so this would come out to be some 100. So that means 100 is equal to, now let's say 25 minus t is taken as some common. So 25 minus t is some common, and this is some 25 minus t by 2 plus t by 2. Actually we have taken 25 minus t by 2 as common, so this is 25 minus t by 2 plus t. So this would come out to be some 200 is equal to 25 minus t into some 25 plus t upon 2. So this would come out to be some 400 is equal to 625 minus t squared. So t squared would be some 225, or t would be some 15 seconds. So just look at this calculation again, you would see that how we have done the calculation. So the calculation part you can see, and you can do it yourself, and this is the final expression which we obtained. So the idea behind the question is that we have to find the complete displacement of the particle. So that was 500 meters, and how we use different expression to obtain an answer. So this will be for this lecture, in which we discussed how we apply equation of motion in some questions where the particle is simply accelerating, or where the particle's motion is divided in 2 or 3 phases. when it is divided in three phases, the initial velocity of one phase becomes the particle's final velocity, initial velocity in the next phase, and we use the information from each other to help each other out. So that would be for this lecture. In the next lecture we'll be starting motion under gravity. So thanks for joining.